Hey everybody, Dustin DePierac here. Andy Graham. He's going big time partisan at the moment.
The
I
Cardinals are
believe
playing as we speak.
as we speak to you right now, that this is obviously on video and you'll watch it after you know what happened. But I think it's still 1-1. I think last I saw, Chad Tracy was pinch hitting for the Nats. They were trying to get something done. Anyway, previewing Indiana Ohio State coming up on Saturday at Memorial Stadium, another 8 o'clock game. Big thing, obviously, for Indiana, they got to deal with Braxton Miller. Is right now, I think if you had to take a vote, he's without question the Big Ten's MVP. Just basically, what do they got to deal with? What do they got to do to stop a guy like that? And can they? I guess.
I don't know. I mean, he's the kind of guy that can make something out of nothing. And when there is something there, when he's got a hole, when he's got an avenue which he can exploit with his legs, he gets into the end zone fast. I mean, Indiana saw that last year. The Hoosiers played Ohio State very competitively in Columbus, and in fact were driving to take the lead midway through the fourth quarter until Trey Roberson threw a pick. But what really hurt him in that game, and the only real big plays they gave up, was Braxton Miller using his feet. And now it's a guy named Urban Meyer coaching over in Columbus, and he kind of knows how to exploit a really good running quarterback.
Right.
He had that Tebow guy down in Florida. I think.
He was okay. Doing. I heard something about him.
And I think that
he ends up on ESPN every once in a while, doesn't
every
he?
Now and
They
again.
do something about him.
I just contributed to the hype by mentioning his name, I guess.
We did. Yeah, we're only making it worse. Anyway.
Now Miller is the best player on the conference's best team. They just hung 63 points on Nebraska last Saturday. Now, there was a punt return involved in that and an interception return, but nevertheless,
still,
their offense was really clicking. And Miller didn't throw much. He was only 7 of 14 in that game for like 129 yards or something like that. But the running game was going great guns, and he didn't really need to throw much. The point is, he can throw. He can throw effectively enough that he can keep you honest that way. And so you just can't load up in the box. And even if you do, he's extremely good at exploiting even a small crease. And he's really, really big in addition to being really, really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you better not just get an arm tackle attempt in there, or he's just gone. And so given how Indiana struggled up at Northwestern the last time they really faced a legit running quarterback, they're going to have to play a heck of a lot better in terms of their assignment football on defense this Saturday.
Yeah. The obviously the change really for Ohio State is what Urban Meyer does offensively. Obviously, for as long as I can possibly remember, Ohio State was your classic I formation, pro-style offense team. And even when they had a guy like Terrell Pryor, who was an extremely good running quarterback and really could do everything, there was, I mean, to a degree, they were almost in a way less dangerous, maybe because they didn't really line up in the shotgun that much. I mean, they did run the ball a good bit, and there was plenty of play action and rollouts and all that sort of thing. But the difference is that in this case, Miller gets to sit back and sort of, has the offense spread out, and he is kind of the unaccounted for man. I mean, that's sort of the issue. Is like you have more guys, and basically it's really a numbers game. The way Meyer runs the spread offense, it's like how many blockers do you have? How many defenders do you have? Do we throw or pass? There's a lot of just option football, a lot of stuff like that out of a spread formation, even with sometimes with two backs. And there's a lot of different ways they can beat you, and I think it's done so much more for Miller's game to put him in this kind of system, and again to put him with somebody who's very, very good at coaching a quarterback who has athleticism, but also making him be able to throw. And you've seen just Miller grow up a lot, and obviously that's basically all Indiana talked about this week. And Mike Eckler just said, he's as electrifying of a player as I've ever seen. And you really look through the list. I was just doing it, a few minutes ago, writing this preview. The guys that Eckler's dealt with as a linebacking coach when he was in Nebraska, you saw some of the best players in the last decade. In some year of their career, you saw Peterson and Bradford and all those guys just dealing with Wilson's team, and Justin Blackman and Michael Crabtree at Texas Tech, and you saw a little bit of Robert Griffin III when he was a freshman. Not the same Robert Griffin who threw for 37 touchdowns and whatever, but he's seen players, and he puts Braxton Miller in that category. He mentioned Reggie Bush, even though I don't think he coached against Reggie Bush. He still mentioned him in that category, and that's saying a lot for Braxton Miller.
He's just really tremendous. I mean, Denard Robinson's still ahead of him by an average of about 20 yards in total offense per game, and maybe Michigan's a bit more dependent upon Robinson. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's an accurate statement or not, but as dazzling as Robinson is, I mean, in a way, Miller's more intimidating because he's just so big and strong.
Yeah. No, he's more. Robinson is a kind of in a way is kind of a tailback who's playing quarterback. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, that's not really fair because he does throw the ball well and he has made some huge passes in his career. But Miller is just a big dude. He's not as big as Pryor was massive.
Yeah,
but,
true.
Miller is still pretty big. But Indiana though I think they are, as much as I don't think anybody really expects them to win this game, and they are kind of walking around. I think even with the close losses, I think they are walking in with more. Not swagger, but confidence, I think, though, than you've seen. Just because, after playing Michigan State, I think that was a game that everyone expected them to lose badly. They were playing another great big tailback, and Le'Veon Bell, a guy who's really tough to deal with, another one of probably the biggest offensive names in this conference, and has a team that has a better defense, and managed to keep it together. What we've mostly heard this week is them talking about finishing and talking about what this team has to do offensively and defensively to, to hold teams off to finish, I guess.
It was pretty impressive to watch them hold Le'Veon Bell to 3.3 yards a carry. I mean, they were pretty stout up front, and the offense didn't play 4 quarters. I mean, once again, they played a great first half. I mean, really brilliant stuff. Actually, I thought the play calling was phenomenal, and it was really hard to tell what Indiana was going to do. It seemed to get more conventional in the second half for whatever reason, and part of that is just Michigan State taking stuff away. It'll be interesting to see what happens this week in the sense that Michigan State's defense is a bit unconventional in terms of how they defend the middle of the field, what they do. Ohio State's a little more conventional in terms of how they set up in their zones with their secondary. Michigan State plays man-to-man press with the corners. Ohio State tends not to, although once again they'll watch film and they'll say that worked well against Indiana, maybe they'll try it. But it's a little bit different, and this is Ohio State had a serious loss at linebacker this week. So we'll see. I mean, I would think Indiana will score some points. It'll once again be interesting to see whether Indiana shares quarterbacking duties or not, because I think the staff kind of intended to going into Saturday's game, but Cam Coffin plays so well in the first half.
You couldn't
there was obviously he justified being allowed to finish that game one way or the other. But I think that'll be another interesting element of this, where Ohio State hasn't always fared well against spread teams. They've given up some deep shots over the middle if you have a quarterback that can stretch them vertically. They're really talented, though. This is the most talented team in the league, top to bottom.
It's the only team in the top 25 in either pool. They can't be in the coaches pool because of the bowl ban and the NCAA sanctions and the whole bit, but they are number 8 in the AP pool, and nobody else in the Big Ten is in the top 25, which in itself is crazy.
And they're a legit number 8, I think.
Yeah, no, they look good, and they've beat up on just about everybody. But they defensively they're the same as you've seen, partially because they didn't change there. They stuck with Luke Fickell, moved him over. He was the interim coach after Tressel was deposed, and they kept him because I think they thought he did a pretty outstanding job considering just holding it together. And I think Meyer was impressed by that. Obviously.
And I think they're starting to come on too. I mean, I think Nebraska has maybe the best, most versatile offense in the league. So maybe last week's maybe not the best way to gauge Ohio State's defense, and they've also had some guys getting healthy, like John Simon, who I love as a player.
Yeah,
he's a wonderful player. He's fully healthy now. Nathan Williams, who's been a starter, he's a senior linebacker, is regaining his health, and he's a great player. So I mean, I think Ohio State's defense is starting to coalesce as well. Actually,
they've always had some players. They've always just been very, very sound. I think every year that I've been around to talk to Indiana's offensive coaches, it's just a very sound team. There's no place to exploit. They have athletes, they have players, and they do everything right. They do everything sound. But I think that's all we're going to talk about. I'm not going to be at this one, actually.
Blame Chris Corman.
You can blame Chris Corman. You're the former fearless leader.
You can congratulate Chris Corman.
Yes, you can very much congratulate Chris Corman. He is getting married on Saturday, which will be maybe tomorrow by the time you see this. Who knows? But anyway, so he's getting married in Baltimore. Managed to schedule it in the middle of football season, but that's okay. So it's gonna be a fun time. So I'll be out there. Mike Miller will be handling things. Andy will be handling things. They'll keep everything together, and don't give them too much. Don't give them too much grief. Keep it together. All right. Thanks, everybody.